Ladies and gentlemen, chess fans around the globe, I have a wonderful match to present to you today. I had to dig into the archives for something interesting to study, and I came across this game that I've been meaning to analyze on my own, just for my own chess studies. And I said, you know what, this would be a good game to share with the people. So I had to dive deep into the archives. This is Hikaru versus Boris Gelfand. This is the London Chess Classic 2013 final round. And this is the match that would ultimately decide who is the winner of this thing. Without further ado, buckle your boots. It's going to get wild. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get very interesting. It's going to get very sharp. Let's dive into this bad boy. D4. You know, you're a master when you're playing D4. Us amateurs, you know, we like to play E4. D4, Queen's Gambit looking thingamajiggy. And apparently this opening is called the GRÜNFELD defense. Oh, yes, the GRÜNFELD. Okay. Classic GRÜNFELD. It's no blood yet. I love this move. I love this move with this variation. Very aggressive, trying to pin the bishop. You know, if the bishop comes loose, we just come in here, snatch that pawn, and take that naked rook. Also, obviously, applying pressure right down the middle here. We got three pieces just eyeing down that D5 pawn. Boris says we won't have any of that. Takes. Queen takes, obviously. Castles, get your king over to safety early. And Hikaru responds, E4. Nice big center. Look at this center. Oh my God, this is just savage. A6, obviously preparing to kick the queen. Hikaru's no stranger to this. Us amateurs, we probably anticipate and pop our queen back. Hikaru's no amateur. He says, deal with this, Boris. Pushes E5 to kick that knight. And Boris says, not yet. B5. Attacking the queen. You got to deal with that. Hikaru slides back. We get knight D7. Then Hikaru plays this move, knight G5. If you watch the eval bar, it dips just a little bit. I think the computer wanted to develop the bishop or something like that. Or develop this bishop. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Just be ready. Boris continues the game. Knight C6. Obviously, computer is calling for Hikaru to play the bishop into the game. Protect his back pawn. You think Hikaru cares about any of that? No way. Knight takes F7. Mistake. Computer says mistake. Hikaru says, oh yeah, well, Boris ain't no computer. What are you going to do, Boris? Obviously, Boris takes back with the rook. And Hikaru was planning this all along. Classic pawn fork. And obviously he anticipates this, right? He was studying this. But take a look at this pawn. This pawn's just hanging. Boris slides in and says, before we do any funky stuff, I have your pawn. I'm now attacking your queen. What are you going to do about this? Hikaru says, tempo. Pawn takes F7. King attack. King under attack. King sidesteps. Coming to F8. Obviously, you can play H8. I don't think that would be smart, though, allowing this pawn to have, you know, some sort of, you never know how the game will develop. And this pawn can just advance to that square and some tactics spring about. So just to prevent any funky stuff. King F8. Hikaru getting his queen to safety. Queen D1, and you're about to see why this move. Knight takes F7 was a mistake. The computer is calling for knight E5. Boris plays the dubious knight C5. Now check this variation out. Computer calls for knight e5 instead, bringing it to a much more progressive square. Obviously, you know, we want to be here in these center squares. Look at these knights. These knights just look very sexy in the middle of the board like this. Over here, just take a look at this. This just doesn't look as sexy. It just doesn't look as sexy. Not exactly sure what Boris was thinking. But again, I'm not a GM, so how would I know? So computer calls for knight e5 and says the proper response for this is f4. And you can see the eval bars dipped. We're looking at 2.1 in black's favor. The game continues. Bishop f5, obviously looking to get this forky pig right here. Takes, and then we're going to take advantage of this fork. Obviously, queen can't take, right? Bishop. Hikaru would, this is computer variation, would have to move his king. We get a queen swap, and then knight would recover his, black would recover his rook. Now pay attention to this variation. We get, well, first of all, let's stop right here. I want you to just take a look at this position and how this could have worked out for Boris. You see here, we have all of black's white's pieces on the back row, all of them on the back row. Then you have black's pieces way more active, shooting down here at the queen side. The knight's going to try and find some safety at some point and bring himself back into the game. But you can see just by this, just by looking at these pieces right here, why black would be winning. Just much more of a progressive position. Anyway, the game would continue like this. Rook would come into the game. The bishop would come into the game. And this is pretty much where the computer stops. I could have gone further with the variation, but no need. You guys see how this is for black. I'm assuming you know we'd probably get our knight back at some point if there's no tactics. I'm not going to take a second to try and sit here and spend your time looking at tactics, but your knight is under fire. Anyway, let's go back. So Boris plays the dubious knight c5. Hikaru getting his pieces off the back row, attacking this bishop, and then Boris plays bishop f5. Now on this next move, according to legend, Hikaru spent about 9 minutes on this next move. About 9 minutes on this next move. As you can see here, computer is calling for bishop takes. Bishop takes d4. So the computer is calling for Hikaru elects to defend. And that is dubious. Dubious move here. Bit inaccurate. Computer just wanted bishop takes. Bishop takes and let's play some chess, right? But that doesn't happen. Hikaru takes 9 minutes and decides this is better for him. Right? And again, we're not playing a computer, we're playing humans. And maybe Hikaru's intuition has served him well. We're going to get... So first of all, let's explain this move. Queen coming into d6. Now, when I look at queen d6, I don't see any tactics here immediately. Really what I'm looking at is a clearance, trying to bring this rook over into the game, graduating the queen 2 squares into the game. You know, we got some open squares here. When that knight moves, we got some, just a really good place for the queen, as you can see. Just seems like a good place to set our queen. Anyway, let's continue. We get the knight kicked out, and then we have, according to legend, they said the announcers were going crazy over this move. They said this is where Hikaru gets to even things out, and if you look at the eval bar, that is true. That is true. This move's dubious. Inaccuracy. Computer was calling for knight to step back to e6. And just playing chess. Instead, Boris gets a little antsy, and this allows Hikaru to bail out, and he does so. Knight takes. this variation, let's look at the variation computer said was better. Basically what happens is white here obviously losing a pawn, castle, and this looks just easier for black to play. I mean, look at these pawns. Look at these connected pawns. We got a pass pawn here. We have a semi-pass pawn here. It just looks really good for black. As you see from the eval bar, it's not exactly drawish. It's drawish, but it's in black's favor. And it's how. So we're not gonna, again, let's not go down too deep into these variations. So Hikaru was able to bail out of this bad position. Knight takes, get to liquidate a little bit. Just kicking the bishop out. Again, I laugh at moves like this because it's like, you know, like, do I want to like damage my structure? But again, it's a move that makes sense. You want to get clearance, get some king safety, right? Get the king out of the center of the board, develop the white bishop, get the rook in the game. So it makes sense, right? Because all this is going to come with tempo. We get the queen stepping into the game. Obviously, the queen has to step into the game because this queen is attacking the b4 pawn. Scary, scary. Rook comes over. Now, when I see somebody do something like this, yeah, you know, first thing I'm thinking, you know, the amateur that I am, I'm like, I got to get my queen out of the D file. Not Hikaru. He says first things first, king safety. Totally makes sense. King finally takes that pawn. It's been sitting there since the beginning of the game. Hikaru trying to bring his pieces into the game, connecting these rooks. Vital, vital. Trying to keep things tight around the king. You know. Queen slides over to f6. Obviously, this is just a strong diagonal. Let's strengthen it some more, is what I'm guessing Boris is thinking about. However, he leaves this pawn hanging. A rook takes. Some pressure here on the 7th rank. Anytime you get rooks on the 7th rank, usually that's a good sign. Knight comes back, and that is a mistake. Computer was calling for just simply bring the bishop back, which I thought was fascinating. It looks better though. You know, sometimes when I'm looking at moves on the board, I'm like what just looks better, you know? Having, you know, your pieces like this, it does look very compact, right? It does look very compact, but aesthetically, I don't know. Aesthetically, this looks better. Maybe it's the square I'm looking at here. Like my pieces are in a square. The knight's still in the center of the board. And this knight is fine. 1, 2. We have, what is this? 1, 2, 3 pieces covering this knight. So the knight is totally fine in that position. But I can understand the human move of knight e6, right? Trying to get this rook out of here. Hikaru, being the goat that he is, just slides the rook over. Remember, black is down a rook. So if Hikaru can get rid of this rook, it's going to increase his chances of winning that much more. Boris, understanding this general principle, because rules are meant to be broken, says no, no, no. But the computer says that's dubious, and you were supposed to take that rook. I mean, are you really supposed to know to take that rook? Are you really supposed to know that? I guess there's some counterplay. Now that I look at it, like I'm looking at the position, and I'm going to play this out, and then we'll let the computer run. But I think what the computer is saying is after queen takes, maybe there's some knight move or something like that where, I don't know, you have this bishop attacking the queen now. I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. Now that I'm curious, I want to see what the computer is thinking after this move. So let's turn the engine on and see. So the engine says rook take, queen take. Ah, okay. Yeah, I knew it was something funky. This is a free square because the queen gets kicked with the bishop. Yeah, that's what I saw. I saw something like that. Totally makes sense. Okay, so that move makes sense to me. And so I don't know how much time Boris had on the clock, but hey, it's just a, you know, I don't know how you're supposed to see that. Anyway, he sidesteps, rook c8, dubious. Then Hikaru makes another mistake. Obviously, Hikaru's up to a rook. So he's like, I can just liquidate this position and we should be cool beans, right? This is a mistake. And apparently what was supposed to happen here is bishop was supposed to take here. Boris chooses the dubious rook c3, which seems very principled, technique, you know, very, very good technique. It seems like that. But the computer is calling for bishop takes. And you can't take with queen because obviously the rook comes down check. And that's just going to cause weird problems for white. So you have to take back with the rook. And then we get queen h4. And now there's something that you have to pay attention to here. This move, queen h3. You would say to yourself, why would you play queen h3, right? If you're a beginner, you don't know what's happening here. And basically what this is doing, this is restricting the mobility of the rook. Because if the rook ever liberates the h1 square, queen take check. And things could get scary for white. So this rook is now locked in. You're stuck here until further notice. So this is a good move by, or would be a good move by Boris. Anyway, let's go back. Hikaru, understanding the error potentially, says, you know what, let's get rid of that bishop. And there's another variation that we have to take a look at. G takes f5. Why not queen takes f5? That's what I was wondering. Why not queen takes f5? What's going on there? So queen takes f5 runs into something fishy where the rook comes in and the queen basically has no squares. Basically has no squares. If the queen comes back here, the bishop comes into the game, I think, or something else happens. I don't know. I'm not going to get down in the weeds on that move. However, actually, I probably want a second. Let me show you the first variation. So from here, queen can't go to any of these squares. Can't go here, here. I'm sorry, not that one. Here, 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 here. Obviously not here or here, here. So the queen only has basically this square. So we'll go through the variation, then we'll go back to f6. So queen comes in and we just get a liquidation. We're up a rook, so this is just losing for black. If we get queen takes, rook c d5, and queen comes back here, what do you play? Oh, I see the problem with this position. All right, so you just play principled. The problem with this position is this file is just naked now. I think that's what's wrong here. This file is just naked. Anyway, let's go back to the main move. So we get liquidation. Boris chooses the right move, takes with the G pawn. And then Hikaru plays a bit of a dubious move. But I know Hikaru. I watch all of his streams. My favorite streamer, favorite chess player. I know what he's trying to do. He's saying, you ain't moving that knight anywhere, bro. That knight is going to stay right there. If you're going anywhere, you're going backwards. You're going backwards. Computer is calling for obviously queen check, right? And then the same thing, right? Like parking that queen on h3 to keep the rook involved. Boris doesn't play that. He plays rook c4, maybe applying pressure here. Not exactly sure what his thought process is on this. Anyway, let's continue. So Hikaru understanding if I can get rid of that rook that's just winning for me. Let me turn the arrows off. So the rook comes into the middle of the board and protected by the pawn. Obviously, this is, I guess, a decent square for the rook. You know, anytime you got the rooks parked in the middle of the board, it's probably a good thing. Hikaru understanding the threat of h4, cleans up his pawn structure here. Got a nice, beautiful triangle here. Boris looking to push this h pawn. It's doing nothing. It's just hanging out by itself, doing nothing. Might as well make it useful. Try to crack the position open. Get some sort of counterplay. You know, you're in a lost position. Got to do something. Hikaru plays a dubious move. H4. I don't know how you're supposed to see this other move, but I'm going to show you this other variation, which totally makes sense. But I can understand why you'd play this. It's just, you're just, at this point, you're just going to frustrate your opponent. You're going to make it so that he has no moves to play and the game just works in your favor, right? So like, it's not a bad move. It's an inaccuracy, but it's not a bad move at all. Like, what is your opponent? Look at black. Black's just cramped. Black is just all locked up in jail. So variation, bishop, c5, obviously applying pressure here. But you, like, who thinks to do that? Like, who thinks to liberate an open file for a rook? You just wouldn't do that. You just wouldn't do that. Variation continues. Bishop coming over to protect. Rook sliding up, graduating 2 squares, grabbing some vital squares along the 3rd rank. And then at this point, again, trying to get rid of this rook. Rook tries his darndest, and then computer says rook e5. I love this one. This one is like, you know, the queen's in her house and she's looking out the window, and he's just like, no looking for you. I'm just going to black out your window. You're not going to be looking at this diagonal anymore. Just restricting the position. Oh man, I call this one the boa constrictor. King has to come. King comes. Well, it doesn't have to come back, I guess. I don't know. Attacks the rook. Rook's protected, but you know, we got some hanging pawns over here. Takes, knight takes, and then he try to, you know, get some counter play here on this pawn, whatever. Still a losing position for black. Anyway, let's go back. We get a bit of queen g6. This queen g6 move to me looks like some opening up the bishop, avoiding some tactics or something like that. That's what this looks like to me. Then we get the bishop move. Now, instructional, knight cannot take here. You just don't want to do that. You just, I mean, besides the fact that you have this tactic of check, you know, and then you win the knight. Besides that, outside of that, let's say you didn't have that tactic. If knight takes, pawn takes, that's a passed pawn with the rook behind it. Anytime you got a passed pawn and the rook behind it, you know, giving it some vote of confidence. It's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for you. Anyway, let's go back. Bishop f6. Again, Hikaru saying, give me these rooks. Another dubious move by Boris. Let's liquidate. I finally got that rook off the board. At this point, if you're Hikaru, you're probably sighing a sigh of relief. And now at this point, you're like, okay, now I just have to get the queen out of here. If I can get the queen out of here, this rook is just king. The rook is now trump card on the table. Boris, understanding the power of all of this, tries to sidestep. The rook comes in, taking away more squares. Queen slides in, trying to find anything, any hope. Hikaru says, no, I'm going to slide over. Obviously, you can't try any tempo here. Bishop just takes. I looked at that. And then in this position, Boris resigns. I mean, he has to resign because anything else results in, for example, queen comes back, queen comes here, and now you win this pawn. And if queen comes here, then it's just a wrap. Queen's gone now. Queen gone now. Can't go here, can't go here, can't go there. It's just a wrap. It's over. Finito. So Boris resigned on move 39. This was the first match, first game of the match, final round. Hikaru goes up 1-0. He'll go into the next game as black and draw that game. Go on to win the London Chess Classic 2013. I just love this game. I can analyze this game all day. Anyway, for the rest of you who want to get some master focus, you're having trouble concentrating on your chess games like I have had for so long, cooked up a nice little recipe for you of herbs, roots, nuts, mushrooms, all 100% herbal, good for you stuff. It's called Master Focus. Try masterfocus.com. If you just type in chess after you get your purchase, email us and customer care at trymasterfocus.com. Email us. We'll take a look at this. Now, remember, this is only for subscriptions. I can't go in and change prices on something you've already purchased, but I can do that on subscriptions. I would change your subscription price. I believe right now it's discounted to $62 a month, and I will reduce that drastically if you just send me an email after you become a subscriber, after you become a client of Master Focus. It's trymasterfocus.com, and we'll take care of you. Until the next time, I hope you enjoyed today's analysis. If there's any games you want me to cover, drop that in the box below.
Didn't listen to me then, I bet they feel me now. Time don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. Invest my money talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but over my eyes, you have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn. Everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million